Okay, well, thank you all for coming to my presentation, and thank you for having me in your meeting. Probably Sourcerer, you see it on my shirt as well. It's the name I chose for the company, and it was going to be Eddy's Test and Measurement Company, but that didn't sound really well. And I thought, like, if I'm going to source product and sell it to people, maybe I can be Sourcerer, you know. So that's why it's OU, but it kind of sounds nice. So today I wanted to talk to you about test and measurement equipment for the broadcast applications. And so it's just going to be about that. I will allow any questions, and I allow any questions anytime. I mean, if you prefer to wait till later, that's fine. But if you prefer just to say, hey, question, just interrupt me, I don't mind at all. I have some freebies with me. I have a door prize. It's a multimeter. And I have some equipment with me as well. So if anybody wants to try anything, look at anything, then you can go ahead and do that. So this is my company. As you can see, it's
I love the security.
It's yes, and he is actually the hardest working person in the whole company, I can assure you. All the other guys, I'm not so sure. Today I am this person here, marketing. So I'll do that role, but if you need anything sales wise today, I will call him up, and I'm sure he can help you out. So it's it's all me. So I started this in 2014 after having quit with Rody and Schwartz in transmitters and test and measurement there as well. So I thought, like, before I retire, I should try something on my own, and so this is it. Since I know the broadcast market and I know test and measurement quite well, I've done that for 40 years. So I thought it was a good idea to continue in it and see how I can promote that. So let's start with video. That's where most things start in TV. This is a unit, two different products that I picked up from a brand called Digital Forecast. Nobody's ever heard of. They are Korean, the right side of the Koreans. It's a tool that is very small. I mean, the smaller one probably fits in your pocket, and there must be a bad contact in this thing. So this one probably fits in your pocket. The other one is slightly larger, but still. What they do is they are some kind of a video monitor. So it's a tool, you plug video into it, you can see the picture, you can also see some data of your SDI, you could see the eye diagram, you could see the waveform, the vector scope, the picture, and so forth. But what they are nice for is not just that you have the picture, but beyond these measurements, they can cross-convert from one format to the other. That can be handy once in a while. Like if you have SDI going in, HDMI will come out. If you have HDMI going in, SDI will come out. This guy here has also VGA and analog still. And so this works in all directions. SDI in, all the three others come out. HDMI in, all the three others come out, and so forth. So it cross-converts between standards. And so just that sometimes can be handy to have because, oh, dang, I need HDMI in this case, and I don't have anything that does that. But I have VGA, and let's work with that. These tools sell for around $1,000, so that's not breaking the bank much. Their only inconvenient part, which I will honestly tell you, is they need, there is a socket for a 12-volt plug because you need an adapter. You need an AC adapter to it, meaning you can't really walk to the middle of somewhere and then to a test because you need power. They solve that by allowing you to screw on in the middle of the back here of both units. They have two screw plugs where you can screw on a battery adapter. You could put in like a Canon battery in there and then connect that to the plug. And so then you have kind of a portable unit to be, for field use. But then it depends also on what that battery is and how long that will last. So that's it's not an ideal solution. Then again, for $1,000, you know, is you have to make do sometimes with what you got there.
Does it have to be a 12-volt battery or could it be like?
I can look that up for you if there is multiple voltages possible. I don't think so, but you know, you never know. I can give you a data sheet on it. I'm certain it's in there. So slightly better. There is a English manufacturer that is called Fabrics. The owner or the inventor of these bricks, because that's what he called it. There's one over there. It looks like a brick. And so his name is Phil Adams. So that's where he chose the name from. He just sold his company to Leader, by the way. So they still operate under Fabrics and it's still manufactured in England. But the ownership is now with Leader. What they do is they have a series of handhelds that have most of the time SDI up to 3G SDI inputs. And also in some cases, they will have analog inputs, analog audio, AES. And in one case, they have an IP input possibility with SFP so that you can also do like DST2110, 22-6 and so forth. So they are really nice tools that both analyze and generate SDI test signals. In my case, I usually produce just something with a moving block inside, because in SDI, sometimes you feed your signal to a device. It kind of grabs that signal, and then even when the signal dies, that picture is still on screen, and you think you have live SDI, but you don't. So it's better to have a moving block on any of the waveforms that you create. They will last for about 3 hours on their internal battery, and you charge those. There are different models because some have analog, some do not. And their top model also allows, that's the picture on the bottom, to look at the SDI real time. So this is very fast. You can see you can measure jitter actually, and you can measure amplitude on the eye. They made a new model which is slightly larger. It has a format of one of those, you know, older like Tektronix or Leader vector scopes with a larger screen on. But they made that it also carries a battery on the back, so it becomes a portable unit. And they will go up to 12G in SDI on this unit or to 25G in IP. So this is a real powerful tool for all the newest and most high-speed UHD video and so forth. The portable models will range anywhere between $4,000 and $7,000. These guys here, that QXP, they kind of start at 15K, and there are so many options that I don't even know what it would add up to if you bought everything. It would be, I don't know, probably like $67,000 or so. So it can be extremely expensive. But in that range, 12G SDI or 25G IP, there is not much yet on the market. So if you need any equipment for the studio that can do that, that's one of the not so many options. Yes.
Do any of these units do like lightning or double diamond display, or that's still kind of a Tektronix thing?
That's a Tektronix thing. Yes, I think they patented that. So unless you probably pay them some royalties to kind of take those patterns to you, then you could do it. But maybe they don't even do that. I don't know. Maybe, well, Telestream now. But if they don't allow you to do it and they do not sell you any rights to it, then you can't do that unless you steal it. And I would not do that. So I've not seen those patterns appear in any other unit than from Telestream. So I'm supposing they're keeping it to themselves because it gives them an edge. Everybody is now used to those and they like those. So these do not have like the diamond. They have like everything else, but not that. So once you then go from uncompressed video to compressed video, we end up with ASI, transport streams. And the smallest tool on the market that you can literally put in your pocket, it's the size of a lighter, is this tool from Electronica, DVS. They are Dutch. Ali is the guy that designs everything. And so this is the electronics company. He has lots of probes and things like that. But this is the most used and most common because it has an ASI transport stream input and output. It has a USB connector to a laptop, and you drive it from the laptop. So the whole software is on the laptop. You look at the transport stream, you record it, you can replay it. But this is the interface, and the computer does all the rest. This sells for just under $1,400. So again, it's not an expensive tool. It's on the cheaper side, let's say. But it works instantly, and it's very handy again to have. Certainly, if you don't want to transport a larger unit, this can be handy. The company that is mostly known for such kind of probes, and maybe some of you have probes from DECTEC. So DECTEC is also Dutch, and in fact, it was Ali that designed a lot of the DECTEC probes when he was still at DECTEC. And he broke away from them and he started his own company. So that's why DECTEC also has transport stream analyzer probes and generators, but they also have them, like the one in the middle also has an RF input for ATC1. And the one on the top is their newest one. It has a really weird format, but there is the RF connector, and it'll take any RF. That it could be satellite, it could be cable, it could be over the air, but that one includes ATC1 and ATC3. So it is capable of looking at all worldwide standard formats and doing RF measurements, and also looking at the transport stream content after demodulation. They have the inverse of this as well, which it looks exactly the same, but it's a generator. So if you ever need to create an ATC1 or ATC3 signal to test on with a DMOD or a receiver, they have that as well, but usually that's only used with the manufacturers of the receiver chips or broadcasters, or maybe transmitter manufacturers or so forth. The prices here vary a lot. They will start at around $1,800 for the transport stream tool. The only thing with DECTEC is that they sell their softwares separately, whereas with DVS, they just give you the software. You can download it from the web. DECTEC will say, well, we have one for RF, and we have one for ASI, and we have a generator, and we have an SDI, and so forth. And you kind of have to buy both the hardware tool and then the software application that goes with it. Some tools work with multiple applications. So the big guys that look at transport stream, you've probably seen them as well. And again, some of you might have those in the station, is Triveni Digital. They make many models. I think is it the 70 now? I can't keep count. They keep upping the number all the time in their newer models. What I can say about Triveni Digital and their stream scopes is, if you're interested in transport stream content and you wanted to know the last little flag, the last little bit anywhere in the stream at all times, and monitor that and record that and so forth, then those are the guys that do that. They will give you every last single bit in the transport stream at all times. And they do thumbnails, and they do multi-viewer, they include lots of things. So beyond the transport stream inputs, they will have IP inputs available to you as well. They will have RF inputs. And today that means both. They can do the ATC1 and they can do ATC3. By the way, it used to be, before they had their own RF board, they would use the deck tech probe inside of the box, and that would give them their ATC1 input because they hadn't built one on their own. So also these things, by the way, the deck tech probes exist under other brands. I think Sencor has one, and there's others that do the same, but it's actually always the deck tech box that has been OEM'd by these other suppliers as well, but it is the same physical unit. So the only thing with Triveni is they're wonderful. They're the greatest on the market. You just have to have deeper pockets, because I think right now the cheapest model they have is like $12,000–13,000, and it just goes up from there. So they are not cheap, but again, if you want to do 24/7 monitoring of everything in your station, all the transport streams and the RFs, that might be a solution for you, especially if your pain point is the content, the transport stream. So some more probes and monitoring equipment. This comes out of France. You've probably seen Anensis before. They also worked under the name Test Tree, but I think Test Tree is going to go away. Everything is going to become Anensis. You know, these guys buy and sell to each other, so that's going to be the final name. Again, they started out with a probe that is very similar to the DVS probe and the deck tech probe, which is just transport stream in and out, connected to a PC, same story. They also have one that has multiple inputs. So this one has RF inputs and transport stream inputs, and it can do ATC1 and ATC3 measurements and look at transport stream. Now, it was made especially because there is also a GPS receiver on board, and you connect the GPS antenna to it. They developed it because people wanted to do drive testing. Have something in a vehicle that you have a measurement antenna and a GPS antenna connected to a computer, and just drive around and make fuel strength measurements, but also include the positioning of where the measurement was made, so that later on you can make nice maps of where your signal works best and does not work so good. They will range around $5,000 for a probe like that. They also have an RF recorder. Maybe my battery is dying. So this is they call it the RF catcher. It has an RF in and an RF out. And literally that's what it does. You can capture RF out of the sky. The bandwidth is 50 megahertz wide, or no, this one is 25 megahertz wide for this one. I'm sorry. So they capture like anywhere you want. They capture 25 megahertz of the band, and they store a huge file, because certainly if you do this for like an half hour or an hour, this becomes, this is a gigabyte file. But then you can replay that. And again, it's more for people in a lab where they don't want to drive out all the time to do tests in the field. Maybe they just want to capture signals in the field and then be in the lab and repeat that signal as if they were in the field. They also make some monitoring equipment. So this is something you would put in a rack and deploy 24/7. They make them with 2 inputs or with 4 inputs. So the one on the bottom here is a dual, I think. No, it's a quad. The one on the bottom here is a quad with dual power supplies and things like that. And they will have inputs for everything. So again, there's transport stream, there is IP, and there is RF for ATC1 and ATC3. It will look at all these parameters that you set up constantly. And then, of course, you set up some alarm levels, first warning, and then alarms are sent out whenever you pass a threshold that you set before. So for long-term monitoring, that's a nicer solution as well. It is let's say a whole bunch cheaper than using the Triveni. Of course, it doesn't have a screen because you will have to look at it through your computer. And it doesn't have all those nice features with the thumbnails and so forth. But as a monitoring device that will tell you when things are going to go wrong or are going wrong, this is still a pretty nice solution. Promax is another manufacturer out of Spain. And beyond some of the portables that we will talk about later, they also have monitoring devices, and I include them because I found they are the cheapest on the market actually for still pretty good equipment. They will go from 1 up to 16 inputs. So they have a 1, an 8, and a 16. And it's kind of the same principle. You can look at your transport stream, you can look at RF, and it'll monitor, you can see graphs, you set limits, you connect over the web to it on your tablet, on your phone, so you can follow up what's going on, and you can get alerts when things go wrong. They're the cheapest on the market. They start around $4,000 for the single channel unit. And then sometimes you want to do monitoring, but you're less interested in actually all the RF parameters and your transport stream. You're more concerned about content. Do I not have like loss of closed captioning? Do I maybe have loss of TSIP? Do I have like my picture is being frozen for 10 seconds now? I have a black picture. My sound is gone away. I am going over the limits of the COM rules for loudness. All those things. So Vela is a company that makes also a 24/7 monitoring system. It goes into a server. You connect it to your network. It pops up with multi-viewers and different graphs and every kind of thing that you want. But it is just actually looking for all those things. Oh, maybe your SCSI markers are missing somewhere. So this is what this system constantly is looking for. Are you legal or not? And when did that happen? And when your boss complains or a customer complains, you like to go back in time and cut that little clip out with the data and be able to forward it and to make it viewable for somebody else. Somebody says, you did not play my commercial. Oh, I did not. I can go back in time and there is your commercial. And there was no blockiness and there was sound and everything. And you can prove those things. So it is a huge database that runs continuously with all your data, and you can go back in time, you can redo all the measurements, you can see everything again. You can do it even in full format. So normally they will do it in a reduced format just because you see what's going on. But like for your main channel, you could say, no, I want the complete thing, the complete transport stream and everything constantly recorded. You could do that with that system. It's very scalable. And so therefore also I can only tell you that $10,000 will get you started, and where this ends, I don't know, because it really depends on all you want to do. Some people say, I just don't want my channels, but I want all the neighboring channels to be monitored as well. I want radios to be monitored. I want to see it all. They can include software, for instance, that will monitor closed captioning for content. Let's say one of your trigger words is earthquake for some reason. If it sees earthquake in any of the closed captionings of any of the stations that it is monitoring, you're going to know about it. It's going to tell you. It's going to send maybe a trigger to the news people, say another channel is saying something about earthquake. Maybe you should know that. So it has all these capabilities of notifying people what's going on. They will say, like for commercial stations, what can be powerful is that it will take count of, what's this company? Firehouse Subs is doing commercials. And you just have a contract for 2 commercials a day. Yoo-hoo. And now you see that all your competing stations, they have 12 commercials for Firehouse every day. So why don't we, right? All these things can be taken out of the data, dissected by both the engineers, but also on the sales side. So it's a pretty powerful monitoring system. Just RF monitoring. These guys, this is Avatec, they are Canadian. They, at this point in time, they probably make the most advanced ATC3 analyzer on the market. The reason being is not that it's so handy, because even what they call their portable unit, you still need to connect to a PC. So it's not very portable, but it is what they do. They will do all the RF measurements required, like for commissioning of a transmitter. And when you commission a transmitter, usually the manufacturer also wants it to be commissioned with measurements that eliminate the equalizer that is in the receiver. Nobody else today can do that. Rohde & Schwarz could do it in their ETL for ATC1, but there is nobody that does it for ATC3 except for them. So we are starting to see these boxes used by all of the transmitter manufacturers, including Rohde & Schwarz, but also used by the consultants that will come, or the installers that will come and commission your transmitter for you when you have a new transmitter. So that's really what they are known for right now. They do, however, also ask for, like, you know, if you put like 2 standards in there and you want to be able to look at your SDLP as well, they'll charge you like $20,000 for it. So it's not a cheap box, but it's top of the range at this point in time for RF measurements. Now, if you only do ATC1, then whole different story. For ATC1, there's much more on the market. It's only for ATC3 that this has become a unique product. A little bit more in RF, and not directly broadcast related, but spectrumalizers are still something that many people use. And there's too much on the market almost to start selling. So I found something a little bit more off the beaten path, but really interesting. So Aeronia, and yeah, this cuts off the rest of the name here, but it's Aeronia, IA in the end. They make real-time spectrumalizers that, again, you have to connect to a PC to operate. But what they do is their basic versions are 6 or 8 gigahertz, so that covers broadcast pretty well. They are real-time spectrumalizers. So instead of having an analyzer like it used to be, where you see the scan going from left to right, and sometimes faster and sometimes slower, depending on your settings, these guys will look at up to 245 megahertz in bandwidth. They start with 40, they go to 245. In real time, meaning you will have thousands of updates every second within that band, like immediate. So they use FFT to obtain that. When they calculate their speeds, actually they have a model right now that goes up to 3 terahertz per second. So they can scan through 3 terahertz of information every second. So if you're looking at, let's say, your 10 megahertz bandwidth, with your 6 megahertz channel in there, that is 3,000 measurements a second. That allows them to have views on the screen like you had in the analog days. You will see your total signal, but you will also see, like, if there is something happening that is not even reaching the top, there is an interferer or there is a carrier somewhere. So all those things now becomes visible again. So you will have all these underlying signals that normally are hidden with a digital spectrumalizer, because they sample on top of the signal and they become all visible again. So it's very fast. It has lots of features, and their 6 gigahertz model sells for less than $2,000, and it is blazing fast and it is very accurate. So it's a pleasure to work with. So again, not portable, because I like portable units, and this cannot be. You know, to use it outdoors, you need a battery and you need a laptop, and so it's not easy. The only thing they will tell you when you buy one is, do not just grab an old computer out of a drawer somewhere to operate with it. Go buy a good computer. They will have specifications like, you know, make it a quad core at least, and make it this and make it that, because this thing pumps, it has 2 USB-C connectors that go to the computer for the data, and they both pump 5 gigabit per second of data to the computer. So if you have an older computer, it's just gonna, you know, it's gonna drown with the data that is pumped to it. I have a little example here of how it works. I think I gotta start that somehow. It's a very short clip, but you can get an idea there of how the screen updates, how fast it is. So in this case, they have the spectrum analyzer screen here. This is a histogram screen, and then this is the waterfall. So this is time instead of amplitude here. I will do it again. It is when the Blue Origin landed. It was landed 2 years ago. And the purpose for having the analyzer there is there was some fear that people would try to interfere over RF with something. And so they wanted to monitor the whole band where all the communications take place between them and the pod, so that they were sure that nothing was happening there. And so they said, yeah, and nothing happened. The screen was clear where we wanted it to be clear, so we were good, but they wanted to know. So that's what it was used for at that point. So it just obtains speeds that you cannot do with a normal sweeping spectrum analyzer. They also make antennas. There are some omnidirectional antennas, but their specialty is directional antennas. So these can be used also for finding the source of a signal, finding the source of an interferer. Of course, they can be connected to any spectrum analyzer. They're not brand specific. Most of them are, they call it the hyperlog, but it is a log periodic antenna, so that you have a wider bandwidth. And so it can be easily used for signal hunting, or maybe you can use an omnidirectional just for field strength measurements. Oh, they also make preamplifiers that you can connect to them. The preamplifiers have a chargeable battery inside. So for field work, that means you can have an amplified antenna without having to connect a power supply, because the power comes from the internal battery. More RF. Many cases you need to sweep filters, look at a cable, look at your antenna, maybe an amplifier, all kinds of things that you might need a network analyzer for. And again, this is a form factor that is much smaller than a classic network analyzer. You know, everybody kind of has maybe still a HP 8753 in the house, or a Rodian Schwartz, or an Anritsu, or a Wiltron even from the old days, and they're all big and bulky. And if you want to take them out in the field and do your measurement, it's very, very cumbersome, and you need AC power. So Copper Mounted Technologies is a company out of Indianapolis, and they make compact network analyzers. So again, the idea is to have all the electronics in the box and your connectors there, but the work is done via PC. And therefore, you just take this to the field. I got one right there. It's that little box. You take it to the field with your computer, and you can literally do all the measurements that you can do with a big box network analyzer. Most customers, the first thing they want to do is have a demo and compare it to their existing network analyzer, because they're afraid that speed-wise, dynamic range-wise, accuracy-wise, and so because this looks like a toy, and they're not so certain that even if you give $4,000, that this is going to match what they had. But I can assure you, these days, a lot of stations, most consultants, and almost all installers these days carry one of these two units with them to do their measurements, and no longer their big box analyzer. The difference is between the two, this one is a full vector network analyzer, but it only sweeps in one direction. So the generator is on one side, the bridge is on this side, the bridge is on this side as well. And so you can do the through measurement and you can do the reflected measurement on one port. If you want to do bidirectional, like for tuning filters, you might have to swap the cables at one point and do it in the different direction. This box goes to higher frequencies, and it has the capability of generating on both sides and measuring on both sides. So you can do all 4 S parameters at the same time. And so you can tune filter by looking at the 2 directions at the same time as well. Now, if you're going to use it for time domain reflection, like just shooting up a line or looking at an antenna, then you won't need one direction. And then usually also for a cable, the cable doesn't change very much whether you look at it from, point A to B or B to A, it's the same cable, but the filter might behave differently. So they have both solutions. They'll do normal measurements, they do Smith diagrams and polar diagrams and markers and screenshots and everything you want. The nice thing in their software is that there are no options. Normally, when you buy a network analyzer, they'll tell you, well, oh, TDR is option 13, and oh, this is option 78, and so forth. They have a whole list of all nice features that you need to buy separately. So they just include it all. You buy the box, you download the software from the web, and you're good. And every time you download it, you have the newest version. So you can put the software on as many computers as you want. The box is its own dongle, because without the box, you can't do the measurements. So it's very easy. They do have manual calibration kits, and they also do automatic calibration kits, just like the other guys do. So that exists, makes it very easy to calibrate. And they have models that only have one port. So it's a vector network analyzer, but only one port, because again, if you're not going to sweep through something, but just look at an antenna or a cable from one end, and you're looking for your time domain, you're looking for maybe a fault to distance measurement, then you only need one connector. So they make one where the generator and the bridge is in a probe, again, connect to the computer and do all your measurements. So just makes it even cheaper. Funny name, but I think they're from Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. So the brand name is Ladybug Technologies. They only make one thing, and that is power sensors, RF power sensors. The only one in their whole gamut, because they go 50 gig and 80 gig and whatnot, and SMA connectors and 1 millimeter connectors and so forth for the microwave people. The one sensor that fits the broadcast market is the one that only goes up to 8 gigahertz. That's their smallest model. They charge $3,000 for it, which makes it cheaper than any of the RF sensors you can buy from Keysight or Rode or anybody else out there. They're really good sensors, especially because not only they have the right frequency range, but they go from minus 60 dBm to plus 26 dBm. So their dynamic range is huge. You don't need 2 probes or something. One probe will do it all. They're true RMS, average power sensors, so you can easily use them to measure modulated transmitter power. Also, they have a software that links them to copper mountains. So if you have a copper mountain network analyzer, you can use their RF sensors to do the calibration of the power levels of the network analyzer. So they kind of work together on that. So like I said, I like portability. And so from here on, I'm going to be happy to talk to you portable analyzers. So here is Promax again. Like I said, they are Spanish. They live in Barcelona. And they have made many TV analyzers through the years. So their oldest ones are on the bottom here. They're portable analyzers, battery operated. In principle, they are DVB oriented for the European market. So a lot of their products are only DVB, but they have, like here it says ATSC. So they have models that include ATSC one as well, and ISDBT for Japan and South America and so forth. I've been selling these products for 9 years now, really good. And they finally came out with a box, which is called the Atlas, that also includes ATC3. So next to the ATC1. So for those that think forward and maybe today already have an ATC3 or want to be able to look at an ATC3 signal on the air, or will have ATC3 in the future, I would strongly suggest to, look at the top model and no longer at the older ones, except of course, if you're maybe a small station, you're never going to get the money for this anyways, and you're only going to do ATC1 for the next 10 years also anyways, then this might still be a very good solution for you. Let me give you a few specifics. So for the Atlas, they started out by including a 6 gigahertz spectrum analyzer. That's always good to have. Then they have RF capabilities for both ATC1 and ATC3. The analyzer just captures the signal and starts looking at, oh, what could this be? Oh, it's not DVB-T. Oh, it's not cable. Oh, it's not satellite. Oh, it's ATC3. So it just sees that, and then it starts capturing the information and giving you all the measurements. You could, of course, also skip those 10 seconds and just say it's ATC3. No, don't go and muck around. They also work for satellites. So they work on DVB-S, S2, and S2X. So what you do is on the RF connector, you connect your LNB. You tell the instrument that the LNB needs 13 volts, 15 volts, 18 volts, I don't know. The LNB will give you the L-band signal back. And again, it will do all of the analysis and decoding and demodulation, except of course, if that channel might be encrypted, then that's where it stops. Although they have a slot on the bottom where you can put your card in, like if you would put into your satellite receiver, you can put that same card in there. And if that card is valid, then it can also decrypt that information. Also works for QAM for the US cable standard. Has an IP input, looks at MPEG-2 and 4 and H.264, H.265, so it even understands 4K UHD and will give you a video output with 4K format if the signal has a 4K format in it. Again, there is ASI inputs and outputs, and it can analyze and record and replay that ASI. It does the same also for SDI. Did I forget to say that? No, it's on there. There's also an SDI input, so you can look at digital video, works for FM and RDS radio, and again, can have a GPS antenna connected to it, so you can do drive tests with it as well. Results from that come as an Excel sheet or a KML file. KML file you can directly import into Google Earth, and then you get your Google Earth with all your measurement points of where you were. That can be very handy. So let me give you a few screenshots of what goes on here. So these are all the connectors on the top. There's even an optical connector, not much used, but the cable guys like that. RFIN, ASI and SDI, and the IP connector, and of course USB. There's another USB on the side. There's an SFP slot that they don't know yet what they're going to do with, but maybe at one point they might include SMT-ST2110 or something. But right now it doesn't do anything. It's just there so that mechanically they have it available if need be. So you can look at spectrum. You can look at measurements. You can look at content. You can make the spectrum analyzer larger. You can have like constellation diagrams. This is for this is an ATC3, probably bootstrap, and here you have an ATC1 ADS-B signal. Transport stream information, including PSIP data. In ATC1, again, you get all the video content and audio contents are there, all the bit rates, and there will be a pie chart with all the programs in your stream and what they do and what speed they take up and what percentage that is in the stream and so forth. All the PIDs in the stream, set alarms for your transport stream. There is an example of the PSIP information of this particular channel. In ATC3, look at all the bootstrap data all the way down to all the PLP data. So everything is being decoded for you, what is in the stream. They can measure echoes so that if you have an SFN, multiple transmitters on the same frequency, signal frequency network, or if you have reflections, it will show you how much those reflections are out in time or in distance, so that as long as they fall within this time frame, you're going to be okay, because in OFDM they can make sure that that does not bother your signal. If they would fall outside of that, that's going to be an interference, just like in ATSC1, where this might interfere with your useful signal. Constellation diagram for ATC3 and demodulation, decoding, and so forth. Also very nice, they make training videos on YouTube. They're all pretty short. So instead of making one that's an hour, and then you have to go figure out which part is of interest to you, what you want to do today, you just take the one, you say, I need to know how about doing drive testing, how about doing transport stream analysis, you can jump to that. So these guys have a competitor that are also Spanish. This is the Hexalon. And they are from the western part of Spain. They're in Santiago de Compostela, northwestern part of Spain. They make a very similar analyzer that I also have there. I sell both because it does almost the same. You'll see, well, it has a 3 gigahertz spectrum analyzer, and it does, oops. Hello. And it does ATC1 and ATC3 and all the satellites and all the cables, and it has IP and all those things as well. And it can do transport stream analysis and all that. But when you look at the full data of the 2 units, you will see that they kind of overlap for 95%. And then this unit has a few things that the other one can do, and then the other one has a few things that this one can do. So sometimes, depending on what your budget is, what you need, what you don't need, you could select between both solutions. One of the differences that comes out once in a while is that the Promax unit has literally no options. So you cost $11,000, but you have everything. They start at $9,000, but they have about a dozen options. So in some cases, you'll be better off with this price-wise, but maybe you need so many options that this becomes $12,000, $13,000, $14,000, and then maybe you should look at the other one again. So it depends. They also operate differently. I will show you a few screenshots again. So they work with screens that are either divided in 6 boxes or 4 boxes, or you could select any of the boxes and make that the larger screen. So there is 3 screens or 1 screen. So just a little difference. But again, so here we have like an AVSB constellation, transport stream monitoring and alarming, your transport stream bit rates and program contents and percentages, the transport stream table. Like this is a difference. These guys include the jitter measurement and interval measurement for the transport stream, and the Atlas does not. That's one of those differences. So if you're interested in transport stream jitter, then this unit can do that, and the other one can. Again, for ATC3, all the tables with all the data, echo measurement is there, the normal measurements, the constellation diagram. This is an example for satellite. Here we have an 8 DQPSK, I guess. Again, you can have your constellation, all the parameters. In this case, it's a DVB-S2 signal. It will somewhere say what the name of the Galaxy 19, in this case, I think it says V5B. So it detects all those things for you and gives you that measurement result. Also, the spectrumalizer is somewhat different. They will do a spectrumalizer full screen, or they will cut the screen in half and have spectrumalizer and waterfall. Again, the Atlas does not have the waterfall yet, they say. They want to include it, but it's not there yet. And then regular measurements. They do a little bit of other things. They have a Wi-Fi analyzer as well, so you could see what Wi-Fi is in the air and what the names are and what the field strength is. Same thing with the other one is they have an IP input, so you can look at the IP stream as well. If you have unicast or a multicast system, you could look at those data. Yeah, the carrying bag. Oh yeah. You can look at closed captioning as well. Okay. Now, if you don't have money anywhere near, let's say between the 9 and the 12K for a full analyzer, there are some cheaper portables on the market as well. This is from Televes. They're the same owners than the Hexalon. And you will find also this Televes unit. I think, again, it is under Sencor. Sencor has the same one with a different number, but Televes is the manufacturer and Sencor puts their name on it. This is a walkie-talkie size portable unit. So this is what? This is like 2 by 3 inches of screen almost. You can duplicate your screen on like your cell phone or your tablet. That is nice. And what they have inside is just, it's a 1 gigahertz spectrumalizer. It can look at ATC1 and optionally at ATC3. So you can retrofit these things into it. But so basically it's an ATC1 1 gigahertz analyzer that you can upgrade to ATC3 as well. It doesn't have many screens. But still a little bit. You can look at constellation, you can look at spectrum. You can do your normal measurements, level carrier to noise MER, and there's a bar graph. It can demodulate and view the signal. The IP input also, it gives you a few data. And so that's kind of the extent of what it can do. So it's much less comprehensive than one of the larger units. So of course here you don't have to say, oh, what's the BSIP value of this in my transport stream and all that. You can't see that here. It just gives you all the basic information. However, if you bought it with all the options inside as listed, it would be just slightly over $2,000 for this unit. So it's certainly something that for the price, you know, if you don't have anything else and you can buy anything else, then that would be a good solution. So both larger analyzers you've probably seen that I noted, they also work for FM and RDS. So you can put them in the radio mode. And I don't know if I have a lot of slides on that. Okay, yeah. So of course you could see the radio spectrum, in this case analog FM with the 2 HD radio sidebands. You could look at histogram information of your modulation. You could view the multiplex spectrum and see your information on left, right, and left plus right, and left minus right, and so forth. The RDS carrier, the stereo carrier, so you can measure all those levels. And the same thing with Promax. So again, they can display the RDS, the multiplex spectrum, give you the RDS data, also histogram information, spectrumalizer. And again, here all the measurements on all the lefts and rights and RDSs, both in level and in deviation. And you could set again, you could set maximum for that if you wanted to monitor. So that's about the end of the presentation on the technical part. So up to here, thank you very much for your time. Tell everybody about Sourcerer and test and measurement. I have one more slide. I have some freebies with me. Not sure if you know this little thingy. I have them with me. So it's a piece of plastic with my name on it, and if you give it a push, it spins. Except if you push it and you want to make it spin clockwise, it says, no, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to give you each one of those, so you can play around with it.
If you're in Australia, will it go
Go the other way?
No. It is the same.
But water drains here.
It is
If
the
you're driving
same
Brendan,
in
you're completely.
the whole universe. No, it has to do with the balance. You'll see it's slightly crooked, and it only finds apparently a balance if it spins counterclockwise. It does not find a balance clockwise. There is a lot of information on that on the web, on how they try to explain it away, but nobody has the exact explanation of why it does that. Because it goes counter to the law of preservation of energy and motion and rotation.
Passive accelerometers. What do you gonna see?
Yeah, it doesn't do what it is supposed to do, but it does it. So then usually I have I have an antenna in my trunk. So I have a door prize. I haven't taken it out, but I have an antenna. It's about this antenna, and it folds, and it's plastic, so it's almost indestructible. So it can be a very handy antenna to have with you. And I have a multimeter. So first we're gonna do the drawing, and then you can pick whichever you want. So I usually ask Siri, do we have the list there with how many? 13. Okay.
That's with you.
Yeah, but if my number comes up, then we'll do it again.
These three are the remote.
Oh yeah, well,
participants.
do they count or do they not count? Your choice.
They count if you.
They count.
if you do
Okay,
ship.
I'm no, I don't ship. I don't ship. So here we go. Siri, give me a random number from 1 to 13. Oh. 1.
Well, I guess that's me.
That's you. Joe,
Okay.
you're winning things. That's good.
Okay, all right. I've never had one come up, but I mean, okay, why not?
It's random.
It is Siri, so.
Ask him to tell you a joke.
Oh, no, I don't. She's not my best friend.
Yeah, no, it's the kids' joke, which I.
Oh.
So bad, it's dad jokes is what it is.
Mhm.
Dad jokes, it's just hilarious.
No, I keep asking her things, and 9 times out of 10, the answer is something that nothing to do with what I was asking, so I don't know. Maybe she doesn't understand that. So I can show you antenna as well, or I have the multimeter here, so it's your pick.
Try the antenna.
You'll try the antenna. I'll have to go get it out of my car, but no problem at all. Okay.